Hello, everyone. It is Trevor from Peak Potential Physiotherapy and Wellness here in Collierville, Tennessee. Hope everyone's doing well coming off their Memorial Day weekend. I also hope that everyone is with power who's on here. If you're without power, you might not be on here because of that. We got stuck without power for a couple days where we were in East Tennessee, so I think it hit the whole state. But coming at you live here on Thursday, wanted to discuss our blog post that was put out on Monday, and also something that I've learned about recently and gone to a course about dealing with more of a strength training regimen, and what are some things that are preventing us from getting our ultimate goals with our workouts. So the blog was about the 7 reasons why you may be struggling in your daily workouts and what you can do about it. So we're going to go over the 7 reasons, discuss a little bit about what I've come up with, and what one of our other therapists here, Matt, who is very big into the working out population. He's a certified strength and conditioning specialist, as well as we just both got our certification, or he's had his 2nd level certification in a lot of the things I'm going to be discussing today, and I just got my 1st level. So we'll be discussing that as well. So if y'all have questions, please link to them below, put them in the comments. I'm also going to be linking to our blog in the comments and putting a little special offer down there that if you want to look at the picture, and if you're interested in it, we have a free guide for some mobility exercises, at least for the upper body, that you can start working on your own. You can just put your details in the comments below, and I will get that to you as well. But I will put a little screenshot in that, a little picture of it, so that you can see if you are wanting it, and I can send it over to you right away so you can start doing some of the things to help out your mobility in order to feel better with your workouts. So many of us are realizing that getting on the treadmill, on the elliptical, on the bike, trying to lose weight is not getting us to the ends that we want. Strength training is what we need. And it's been shown in literature that you need strength training to help you burn fat. You need to increase your lean muscle mass. And I think that's why there's been such a shift to the CrossFit and functional training regimen, because it is the best of both worlds. It does get the aerobic as well as the strength training, which gives you the best results to meet your goals. Hey Dean, glad you joined me again. So we're getting away from just some of the steady state cardio, which usually does not allow you to get to the results you want as far as losing weight or reaching your strength training goals. So you're adding in strength training for that. So if you're struggling with your WOD, or for you non-CrossFitters, your workout of the day, and you're just feeling limited in the gym, there's a few things to consider before just throwing in the towel and saying, I'm going back to what I was doing before. So it's important to address the issues that you might be feeling, these aches, these pains, the whole no pain, no gain sort of thing. If you go back to some of our Facebook Lives, I talked about the whole no pain, no gain scenario. That is pertinent when you're strength training. Yes, there is some no pain, no gain when it comes along to it, but if there's chronic aches and pains, that needs to be addressed. I actually spoke with a power lifter yesterday who had been able to do his workouts, but had long ago, several years ago, hurt his hip and back doing a heavy deadlift, got better, had gone through chiropractic, acupuncture, that sort of thing, had gotten better, and we realized there was a lot of what we call dysfunctional movement patterns. To define that, is basically your body isn't moving correctly, so therefore you will break down elsewhere. So tightness in the back and hip area can then cause some pain in the knee or ankle, vice versa, or in the upper back, and that's part of the 7 reasons why you may be struggling that we'll go over. The big term for this is regional interdependence, okay? means basically everything's connected, which it is. We have fascial connections, we have biomechanical, kinetic chain connections, all of these things that have to be addressed. So, without further ado, the 7 reasons why you may be struggling with your workout and what you can do about it. So I'm going to name them off real quick, and then I'll go into them a little bit because a lot of them are linked, and I have a special tip from Matt, one of my other therapists here, who has seen in his practice a big key for your squats. Okay, so stay tuned if you want to know the key for your squats. So those 7 reasons you may be struggling. So number 1 is tight shoulders. 2 is upper back stiffness or thoracic upper back stiffness. 3 is poor hip mobility. 4 is pain, aches in your knees. 5 is ankle joint mobility or stiffness. 6 is the body's ability to rest, something that I've gone over before and that I've really liked the phrase is it's not overtraining, it's under recovery, and we'll explain that too. 7 is proper nutrition and hydration. So how do you actually affect these? So I'll go through and just give you my 2 cents worth here as we go along. So all of these 7 things are interdependent of one another. You can't hurt one without hurting another. And where the source of your pain is, so my shoulder hurts, that's the source of my pain, is not necessarily the cause of your pain. The cause of your pain could be neck or upper back issues. This is just the source of your pain. So it could be upper back postural stuff that's causing your shoulder issues. That's just where the body decided to break down and you say, it's my shoulder that's hurting. Okay? So do you feel like you have a pinch with any overhead lifts? Pull-ups are painful in your shoulders. In these cases, you can have some tight muscles. It could be lats that actually attach from your back to your shoulder. It could also be upper back stiffness, which leads me to number 2, is upper back stiffness. A lot of times we don't get that extension that we need or rotation that we need in the upper back. So with upper back stiffness, you might have the arms overhead position for overhead squats or snatches. That's bothering you, or you're unable to get your head through properly on a clean and jerk or any kind of presses. So that's some upper back stuff and shoulder issues. That's that regional interdependence again. So this could be just stiffness in the upper back. It could also be lats bothering you, or even what we call posterior cuff or posterior rotator cuff or rotator cup, as we talked about it a few weeks back. This can naturally be fixed with certain mobility issues, which are in the tips report if you want to put your email in below and get that sent to you. So poor hip mobility. This goes into the kinetic chain of hips, knees, ankles, feet. Okay? So all of those have to be working together in order to allow you to squat. So I had a runner in, and so it doesn't have to necessarily be you CrossFitters or lifters, but a runner with hamstring issues. It was actually a hip back issue that her hamstring was the source of her pain. The cause of her pain was the mobility issues in her hip and back, because the hip is a very mobile joint, the knee is a very stable joint, the ankle is a very mobile joint. So if one of those mobile joints or even the stable joint get even stiffer, is then you're going to break down there, and that's going to be the source of your pain, not necessarily the cause of your pain. So poor hip mobility, you might get a pinch in the groin area when you do a full squat. You might have to have changed your squat position to a sumo squat, and you're unable to maybe get a full extension on the pull of your clean or extension of a deadlift because of your hip mobility. Now that can also be coming from some other things as far as tissue and the muscles, that sort of thing. But this affects the the depth of your squat and how accurately and effectively you can perform your lifts. So some of the techniques that are in the tips report, if you want it, again, you can put your details in and I'll send it to you, that you're using for the upper body, you can use for the lower body for the hips as well. Knee aches and pains. Do you avoid squatting because of pain in the front of your knee? A lot of these things can be because of ankle. So here's the the Pearl here from Matt. We have seen if you're having hip, knee, ankle, or just can't squat, a lot of times it's your ankle dorsiflexion. So what the heck is dorsiflexion? Basically, your foot is able to bend backwards. Is what you would use for a calf stretch. That's your ankle dorsiflexion. If you don't have proper ankle dorsiflexion, you're not going to be able to squat to the best of your ability. With that, you can then break down in your knee and in your hip. This kinetic chain regional interdependence. So that's what we were talking about with that. So how can you test that? If you're trying to squat and your heels come off the ground, you can't keep your heels down. If your toes are here or slightly out and they go out further when you try to squat, that's showing a lot of mobility issues. What do you do about it? You can work on that, and a lot of CrossFit gyms are great about having a mobility time prior to their workouts. A lot of times people don't get there early enough to be able to do that. So make sure you get to the mobility WODs that you have before your workouts. The other thing is, a lot of these mobility issues need to have a specialist be able to work on them. That's where we come in. We come in and use our manual therapy techniques, loosen up the muscles, loosen up the joints, reteach you how to then use the mobility exercises to stay mobile. Okay? So that was 1 through 5. The 6th one is give your body some rest. Okay? Under recovery or overtraining. A lot of times it's under recovery. Your body needs 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I know I didn't get it. I had a son who was sick last night, so I was up a few times at 1, 2 in the morning. But your body does its best recovery when you're sleeping. Okay? So give your body the rest that it needs. The gains of your workout actually occur between your workouts. So you can overtrain if you're not giving the proper rest periods. So if you get to a trainer, if they're doing the same body parts too many days in a row, or they're not giving those rest periods that you need, that's where the gains are actually made in between your activities, because that soreness is a breakdown of the muscle tissue, and for that to build up, you need to give it the recovery time it needs for that muscle to actually build up, or what we call hypertrophy. Okay. Number 7 is proper nutrition and hydration. I hammer this a lot. I mean, the amount of water you should be drinking, half your body weight in ounces is how much you should be drinking. If I weigh 100 pounds, not saying I do, but if I weigh 100 pounds, I should be drinking 50 ounces of water a day to create homeostasis. That's just to keep my body where it should be. Now, if I'm sweating a lot or doing anything like that, I need more hydration. So just think half your body weight in ounces. If you're working out, that's going to be bumped up a lot more. Okay? So with the poor nutrition and hydration, is an integral part of life as well as performance. Processed foods, sugary drinks, they leave junk in your body. There's something called gut yeast and all this stuff that creates a chronic inflammatory response to your body. In addition, you can make sure you get that hydration that you need by supplementing things. An electrolyte or hydration drink will be great. We use Advocare Rehydrate, which is a 1-to-1 sodium potassium, which is a lot different than your Gatorades, Powerades, those sorts of things, and it doesn't have as much sugar in those, so your body's able to use it a lot better. If you have questions on that, you can always link to it. There's a little link in our blog about that. So those are the 7 things that can help you if you're struggling with your workouts of the day or WODs for the CrossFitters, or for you non-CrossFitters is more likely. But the clinical Pearl, dorsiflexion, if you're having, or the ability for your ankle to bend for your squats, will be key for you. Again, I'm going to link below to the blog, as well as put a little image of the report that Matt actually came up with. It's a mobility activities that you can do for your shoulder on your own to see if it's just soft tissue. If these work, then it was just soft tissue issues. If they don't work, then you can have a joint problem that needs to get worked on, which is where we come in as specialists. So you can always link in the blog, there's a request for a free discovery visit where you can come in and let us do a movement assessment. We are the movement specialist as physical therapists. So the training that Matt and I did, we're certified in what's called Selective Functional Movement Assessment, or SFMA, which takes you from head to toe, assessing this regional interdependence and seeing what's going on, where the body might be dysfunctional or problematic, but it's not necessarily painful, is then what's causing that painful or the source of your pain, but is not necessarily the cause. Matt also can do what's called an FMS for you guys or girls who are very high level, who are just like, well, I don't know, I'm not having a whole lot of pain, but I can't get to the level that I want. This is called a functional movement screen, is what the athletes go through for the NCAA, the NFL, for return to sport, and it gives you a score about, hey, this is where I'm at, these are some corrective exercises you can do. So that's another thing that we offer, okay? So please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. It was great seeing you, Dean. Thanks for jumping on again. But then also, please leave your details. Just your email would be great, and I'll send over our free tips report on how to keep your mobility up of your shoulders, okay? So thank you again. I am Trevor with Peak Potential Physiotherapy and Wellness here in Collierville, Tennessee. Please let us know if you have any questions or what are some answers or questions that we can answer future Facebook Lives in order to better serve you. Thank you.